You've heard the stories of labor shortages across the country, from those images of cargo ships stuck off the coast to what we're seeing here locally. Some restaurants, some businesses unable to have the business that they are used to because of staffing issues. So let's talk about what is playing out in our own community with Ed Arnold. He is the managing editor of the San Antonio Business Journal. Thanks for being here, Ed. First time for us having you here, and we're glad you could find some time for us. So let's talk about how things are shaping up in San Antonio when it comes to the labor shortage. What does our local picture look like?
Absolutely. It's been a steady march of improvement all year long. Started the year off at a little more than 7% unemployment rate, which is very high. Pre-pandemic unemployment rate in San Antonio is beneath 3%, which is essentially everyone who wants to get a job can have one. And we're still at 5% as recently as a couple of weeks ago. The positive signs are that we're in the right trajectory. We keep marching down report after report. There have been some bumps along the way, but I think that the slack between demand going up for these services, restaurants, hotel services, tourist attractions, and the pace of being able to hire for those positions is beginning to catch up. We may be still several months away from being back down to closer to that pre-pandemic unemployment level, but we're making incredible progress in Bexar County in particular.
How is this shortage playing out when it comes to, we just saw the now hiring signs that are out there. How is this playing out for people that own restaurants and for the travel industry, which is so huge in San Antonio historically? What are people seeing when they check into a hotel or they go to get to a restaurant?
Absolutely. I spoke with a hotel operator over the summertime, and he was gearing up for what we was hoping to be a pretty strong summer. But he was warning guests that they weren't necessarily going to get the same level of maid service that they were used to. They might not be able to get their toiletries refilled every day. Some of that was supply chain issues, but another part of it was simply not having enough staff to handle all of the rooms. That has improved again as the summer ended. I also heard that many of his employees, once schools opened back up, they felt like they had childcare again. They were willing to come back to work at full time where they may have been part-time before. So there has been significant improvement even there. We've seen it in restaurants too. Restaurants have cut lunch services. They've cut items off their menu simply because they didn't have enough service workers to handle the loads that they were getting. But it's still closer to where we were just 90 days ago. We're closer to where we were pre-pandemic than we were just 90 days ago.
It's positive that we're seeing signs of improvement. Are you seeing that really all wide range, I should say, of industries are being impacted, or is it mostly things like hotels and the hospitality industry in San Antonio?
Right. I've seen it across the board. There's almost no industry that we haven't heard have difficulty in staffing. It's more pronounced in restaurants and retail because those are businesses that we all interact with. But everything from healthcare, legal services, really, there has not been a part of manufacturing. It has not been a part of the economy that has not had some struggle over the last year with hiring. Almost every single employer that has been looking has had to up their wages. And that has been a big part of driving up some of the wages that we've seen improve over the course of the summertime.
Are you seeing any improvement at all or hearing of any improvement at all in the supply chain? The most obvious is you drive by many of the car lots in San Antonio and they're empty of new cars. You try and get a part for something that you think should be in the warehouse and it's not there. Are you noticing that it's improving? And when do you think we will get back to so-called normal when it comes to the supply chain?
Right. It's going to be longer than we would all hope. I think that this Christmas, we're going to have a harder time finding a lot of the things at the last minute that we may have been used to. I've been encouraging all of my friends and family to get their Christmas shopping done early if they can, because there's going to be continued backlog for things that we're just used to being able to get. I've heard from business owners saying that the kind of containers that they were using for their manufacturing processes just aren't available. So they're out looking for alternatives, out looking for other available suppliers. And what you end up seeing is the biggest fish in the pond, H-E-B, they're probably going to be the first to get their stuff onto the shelves. But it trickles down into the smaller retailers and smaller businesses. And I think it will probably be next year before we actually feel a little bit of normality when it comes to being able to get parts, Certainly the car industry will probably be middle of next year before it catches back up to demand.
Yeah, I know we're all certainly waiting for that. Before we let you go here, Ed, you mentioned the rise in wages attracting more workers and helping to fill these shortages. Is that what you think the key here is to ending this labor shortage, or are there some other factors that are going to come into play?
There's certainly other factors. I mean, raising wages are the quickest and most obvious ways for a location of business to get new people in the door, but it causes a backlash too. Existing employees are at a very high quit rate because they're jumping to other jobs looking for other wages. Generally, that's healthy in an economy overall. We want people to be making the close to their value as humanly possible, but it takes a little while for businesses to catch up and consumers to catch up. And some price increase is going to follow that in the long run. But no question, the quickest way for some of these folks to fill short-term and desperate needs for employees is to bite the bullet and increase their wages as best they can.
Ed Arnold, the managing editor of the San Antonio Business Journal, appreciate your time, admiring the guitars on the wall behind you as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. I know they're probably there for a reason. We'll have to talk about that the next time you come on.
I'm in for it.
All right, deal.
I'm in for it.
All right, we will see you next time. We'll be right back.